This is FE Peer Review. The date is October the 1st, 2021. Moon seen from both hemispheres. In this video, we're going to look at some imagery of the moon taken from both hemispheres. These images were all taken on or within a day of September the 20th. These are people that I reached out to who sent me images from various parts of the world, and I've compiled it in this video. I thought in this video we would compare these images to what stellarium predicts for these particular locations and dates, and in so doing we can get an idea of the reliability of stellarium for this particular information, and then we can use stellarium based on that to look at a few other locations from which we don't have imagery for that day. So I hope you enjoy. Before we dive into the imagery, I wanted to bring up this nice little web page. It's called sciencefocus.com, and it has a little article with a nice graphic that shows the basic idea, which is that a person in the southern hemisphere looking at the moon will see this surface as the top of the moon, and a person in the northern hemisphere will see that same surface as the bottom of the moon. Although in almost every respect I like that graphic and the little article that accompanies it, like so many other graphics I was looking at to illustrate this, places the North Pole up. And for the purpose of our discussion, I really think it's helpful not always to place the North Pole up in this kind of imagery. It reinforces a tripping point that a lot of people stumble over, which is a conception of north as up or of their location as up. So I think it's worthwhile sometimes when doing imagery of this kind to not always use that orientation, but well, here's a guy, let's put this guy up. So here he is at the top, and he's looking at the moon, and we see what's up for him. That's nice. And then we can do the same with this other fella, and now it becomes much more clear that he's seeing the moon in a very different orientation than the first guy. We could just put it that way. That gives us a sort of a sense of their equally balanced viewpoints from across the equator. So just a little point there about graphics and imagery and why we need to be maybe a little more thoughtful on how we present them. We have observations from 4 people, Wolfie 6020 and Critical Think in Australia, I Can Science That in Pasadena, California, and Sable Eagle in Yorkshire, UK. What I'm going to do is show them one at a time. I'm going to start with the observation material that they sent me, whether it be a photo or a video. And then after we've looked at that, we will go to stellarium and we will find the same location and date in stellarium and get a screenshot of the moon from stellarium. We'll then superimpose the information we were sent before, and I will put location and latitude indication on it just to keep track. When we've looked at all 4 separately, then I'm going to put them all side by side and we can see them together and draw some conclusions.
Okay Google, what is the current time and date?
It is 5:42 p.m., the 20th of September 2021.
So here we have a screenshot from stellarium indicating Sydney in the bottom left corner, and the time and date on the bottom right corner. The clock in stellarium is reading off of my computer's clock, so it's not getting Sydney time. I actually have my clock set to the United States West Coast time, but it is the correct time of day for Sydney if you factor in the time zones. So we have stellarium. I have put to the left side a close-up screenshot of the moon from stellarium, and Wolfie's image is on the right with a location and latitude indicator. From near Perth in Western Australia, Critical Think sent me 2 photos. This is the first, and it shows some foreground information with the horizon and the moon, and then the second is a close-up of the moon taken from the same spot. And then here's the stellarium screen for that. The moon from stellarium. From Pasadena, California, I Can Science That sent me this beautiful photo. We don't have the horizon in the image, but this is up according to the way he sent it to me. And when I looked at it more closely, it made sense. Here is our stellarium image. Close up from stellarium, I Can Science That's photo, and our text. Next up is Sable Eagle. He sent me some lovely video, which we will watch in a moment. Sable Eagle often leaves comments on my videos, and he makes a lot of beautiful videos himself. A lot of them are simple nature videos capturing the landscapes he moves through in Yorkshire. And by the way, his video is from Yorkshire. I encourage you to check out his channel.
There you go, moonrise and a plane going left to right in the east. On the 20th of September 2021 with moon phase orientation visible. Because I'm nice like that.
From the 4 previous observations, we've established pretty well that stellarium's image of the moon matches with the images that were taken by the people in 4 different locations. I think that's a good indication that stellarium is reliable, at least in this particular case. So I thought it might be interesting to add one more observation to our list. Since we didn't have anybody actually on the equator on that day, I'm just going to go to stellarium for an image of the moon at moonrise on the equator. So here we're looking east and we see the moon not too long after moonrise. It's September the 20th, 1638 according to the clock on my desktop, and we will zoom in here and then I will take a screenshot and we will add that to our collection. Here is our equator image, and I have taken a screenshot of the moon up close and overlaid it, and if you look close you should be able to see a green cross, kind of crosshairs that I've placed over this moon image. I'm going to copy that same green crosshairs onto the other moon images from the other locations, and I'm going to copy it so that it's aligned with the same features of the moon. For instance, the vertical axis here is just skirting one edge of that C up top. So it'll be aligned the same on all of the different images, and then we'll be able to see better the degree of rotation of each image. Here I have drawn an arc that represents the circumference of the Earth, and I have laid it, quote, on its side. I have put north on the left, the North Pole on the left, the South Pole on the right, and we have the equator running vertically in the middle. And we are looking towards the east. So we're standing at the equator, looking towards the eastern horizon. This little dashed line which suggests the horizon. You're this little person standing here, looking towards the eastern horizon. The North Pole is to your left, the South Pole is to your right. And when the moon rises up above that horizon, this is how it would appear coming above the horizon. This is the image taken from stellarium. This is the green axis that I placed on that image. Now let's say you decide you want to go and visit your friend Critical Think down near Perth. So you head off towards your right, towards in the direction of the South Pole, and you make your way down to the 27th latitude line, minus 27. And you're standing there looking towards the east, and the moon comes up over the horizon, and that is how you see it. We've got the horizon line aligned with perpendicular to the person standing at minus 27 in Perth. And then from there you decide to head on over to Sydney and give Wolfie a wave, and it's moonrise, and there's your moon coming up over the horizon. Now these are the exact same images that we saw earlier, taken from each of these folks' videos. And then you decide to head back up to the northern hemisphere, and your first stop is Pasadena, and you drop in and say hi to I Can Science That. He gives you this beautiful moonrise to enjoy. And finally, last stop, Yorkshire in the far north. Let's take a look at them all together and see what we notice. Notice that the green axis, the green crosshairs, are the same on all of them, and that C is up on our page in all of them. The moon in all of these images is oriented exactly the same way, but the horizon angle that we see in each image is different based on our location. I struggled a long time to figure out a way to show this all in one picture where you could really see that both the orientation of the moon being the same relative to Earth, but that the way it appeared at each of the different locations being different. It was quite a challenge. It took me a few days to sort this out and come up with a decent graphic, harder than you would have thought. Here I have the 4 observations lined up at the top, and we can see from left to right how the angle of view as the moon comes above the horizon is rotating. It's rotating, you might say it's rotating counterclockwise as we go from left to right. And underneath them I've got the stellarium image from the equator. Well, there were a couple of other fun things I ran across in the process of doing this on stellarium that I'll take a minute to show us next. All right, we're back at stellarium now, and I've reset the location to Sydney, Australia. What we're going to do is we're going to look at Sydney, we're going to look at a location on the equator, and then we're going to look at Yorkshire again. And I've set the time so that it's just before moonrise, just before sunset on the same day. Well, it says the 19th, should be the 20th, doesn't matter. Here we go. And I'm going to move the time forward, and we're going to watch the moon come up. There it is. It came up just a little bit south of east, and it's heading towards the left corner of the image. It's heading towards the north. Now let's go to the equator. All right, that's close enough. We'll use that location. And we will reset the time here and get the moon back down to the horizon. And now we're going to watch the moon rise on the equator. It's coming up just south of east. And it's heading straight up. It's not really going towards the left or the right. It's pretty much going straight up. All right, and now off to Yorkshire. York, United Kingdom, use this location. All right, reset the time. Now we're going to have the moon start coming up. There it is, coming up in the east to the south of east a little bit. And it's heading towards the right. It's heading towards the south. So when we were looking at Sydney, the moon came up south of east, but it was heading towards the north. At the equator, it went straight up. And here in Yorkshire, it's heading towards the south. So it apparently is going in three different directions at the same time. It's going north, it's going straight up, and it's going south. We can couple that with what we were looking at before, these images. And, well, somebody's got some explaining to do. I just don't see how we can make this work on a flat plane. Anybody brave enough to give it a try? I'd love to see your results. So if you are a flat earther watching this and you think you've got an explanation for these observations, I'd like to see it. And it needs to be an explanation that's clear enough that it explains all the geometry. It's either a geometric explanation that's complete, that explains all the geometry in a way that actually works, or it's one of those explanations that says, oh, we've all got our own individual moon, we're not all seeing the same moon, it follows us around wherever we go, the moon's just a hologram, it's projected on the dome, it doesn't really exist, etc. If you've got one of those explanations, that's fine too, I'd be happy to hear it. But if you think the moon is a physical object, then I need the geometry. Okay, enough of that. I hope you found this worth watching. I enjoyed making it. And I hope you'll come back for the next video, whatever that happens to be. I've got a couple of things I'm looking at. Let's see. Let me take a look at my list here. What's in progress? We've got Oakley is Wrong, #1. And then we've got Avio, Beyond a Shadow of a Doubt. That's interesting. I think I'll work on that one next. So y'all can take a look at Avio's Beyond a Shadow of a Doubt with me. He's looking at shadows on spheres and making some pretty strange claims. Okay, have a great day. I'm signing out. Remember to click that like button on your way out. Bye-bye.